Good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining us today on Tuesday. We all decided it was Tuesday. I think we're all losing track these days, but we thank you for joining the People's Resource Center and the Glen Ellen Public Library. I live in Glen Ellen, so it's my library, and I'm just really proud that we have a great partnership with them. For those of you that don't know about the People's Resource Center and our jobs program, we'll go through some of that today and some of our other programs that we offer. My name is Debbie Lunger. I'm the director of the Job Assistance Program. And we have Jan Wave. She's one of our facilitators today and a longtime job coach. We have Sharon, and Sharon's our other facilitator today, and she's been doing a lot of our orientations and facilitating for a couple years. So if you have some chats, and we're going to talk about that, you can ask some questions in the chat feature. But Jan and Sharon have great examples to give you from clients that they've been working with, and they've all helped people find jobs, even in extraordinary times. So we're going to hopefully today I'll help you with a little bit of learning about some cool tools that you can use, especially if you're home and you're just kind of stuck in front of a computer. So little infomercial on the PRC. We started in 1975, and we serve all the residents of DuPage County at no charge. We've never charged a fee to anyone that wants to come to the People's Resource Center as long as you live in DuPage County. And we do have two sites. We have a Wheaton site and a Westmont site. Our website is peoplesresourcecenterrc.org. It is under construction at the moment. It's working, but it doesn't look too great. So it's going to be brand new real soon, but it certainly is up, and you can find some information there. Just some guidelines. I'm going to actually go through this because the only thing we're going to talk about here is the chat function. If you have questions, chat away. We are happy to ask the questions and answer the questions for you. And in Zoom, I don't know how you're seeing this because it's a webinar, it's a little different, but if you do any Zooms and you participate in those, you can go to the top, you can go, it'll say you're viewing Debbie's screen, you can go to view options, you can do side-by-side mode, and that way you can see the entire picture in front of you, and all of the presenters and the other participants are along the side. So this workshop today is being recorded so everyone in the community can enjoy it a little bit later. These are the services that we offer at the PRC. Our food pantry right now is contactless. Since March, we closed our buildings, unfortunately, due to COVID. So Wheaton and Westmont are closed to guests, but the food pantries are open. Twice a month, if you live in DuPage, you could just drive through and pop your trunk, and someone will put a nice big box of food in, and it helps feed your family. And we do offer things like meats and milk and fresh produce. So that's a great thing that we've been able to do. And as of last week, I think it was first week of September, we have helped over 15,000 people. We've popped a lot of trunks since March. Our adult learning and literacy is just starting to get going, but they are going to be doing some remote literacy classes and some one-on-one tutoring. Our art studio is up and running. If you check our website, you'll see all kinds of great art that they're doing remotely and online. Eventually, you can come to our art studio and you can do pottery and photography and jewelry making and watercolor and oil painting. Clothes closet is closed. Computer training and access, that's the one program we get asked probably the most about. And right now it's still closed. We hope to open it sometime, I'm going to say October. And the benefit here is if you have a computer at home, if you're a People's Resource Center client, if you have a computer that has a virus or it's stuck, you can bring it to the PRC and we'll fix it for you at no cost. The other thing that the People's Resource Center has done for the community in our computer training program is we give away a free computer to any one of our clients that need one, a free computer. We get them donated from the community. Our great IT teams update them. They load them with the latest Microsoft Office, Word, and Excel. And once you just say that you need a computer for your job search, for your kids to do homework, whatever the case may be, no questions asked, we'll give you a computer and we'll fix it again for the life of the computer, and it's yours to keep. You don't give it back. Social services team is open. If you have some questions, you can just call. The phone number here is 630-682-5402 is the main number. 333 is all things jobs. but just call the main number if you have any questions about anything that's related to social services. If you yourself or you know someone that needs some help with eyeglasses or rent or paying a bill, social services can either help you or point you in the right direction. And we're here today because of our great job assistance program. Our program, again, all of these programs are open to anyone in DuPage County. You can, once you become a PRC client, you get a client number, you can do any or all of these at no cost. Our jobs program, I think the one thing that sets us apart more than anyone else is we have one-on-one job coaching. As a job coach, Jan would work with her client one-on-one. Before COVID, you would meet in person, and could be once a week, could after a while, it could be every other week. Now it's through email, phone calls, and Zoom, and we are still taking clients, and there are jobs out there, and our coaches will be happy to help you. We also have a team of resume writers. They'll help you prepare a resume, write a resume, create it, update it, tweak it, whatever you might need. We have a specialist in LinkedIn that can help you with that. We have an online job board that is open to the community, and I'll go through that in just a few minutes. Here's the online job board. It's prctraining.org/jobs. Long title. Easiest thing to do is go to the People's Resource Center website, to the Job Assistance Program, and this link is there. Here's the login, and here's the password. We also have some self-assessment skill tests. They're called KX. If you've ever gone in through trying to find a job through a recruiter or recruiting office, and sometimes even once you've made it through a few stages in an interview, they may ask you to take some assessment skill tests. We purchased a program for PRC. We don't charge you. You can take 5 tests, 1 test, 10 tests. There are over 1,000 different titles. So please just contact your job coach or the PRC jobs program, and we'll be happy to help you up with some of these and send you the skill test. The nice thing about it is if you score high, let's say you want to take some tests pertaining to accounts payable and accounting. If you score high in the 90s, you can add that to your resume, because all employers understand these type of assessment tests, and it's just a nice extra bump, and it qualifies you on your resume that yes, indeed, you do have those skills. We do lots of mock interviews. We have various workshops through the community, through Zoom now. We used to do them in person, and one day we will get back to that. In Glen Ellen, we had one in January. I think it was Resume versus the Robots. January, freezing, snowy, cold, and we had over 26 people in that room. And Beth remembers we were trying to find chairs as fast as we could, and it was great. We'll get back there one day, I promise. If you're a job assistance client, you'll also get our monthly calendar of events that tells you all the different Zoom workshops that we have going on and some fun different things. This is my email at the People's Resource Center. Or again, just leave a message at extension 333, and that's all things jobs, and we'll get in touch with someone that can help you. Kind of talked about that. So today we're going to talk about cool tools for a focused job search. You can be at home and you can go online and you can apply on LinkedIn all day long, and you can just run into a brick wall, and it's so frustrating. So today we've created this webinar, and hopefully it'll give you some tools that can help you. You can be focused. You can say, you know what? Yes, that is indeed what I need. I need to concentrate on this, and I need to concentrate on that. So I'm going to pass this off to my team, to Jan and Sharon, and away you go.
Thank you. And thank you to everyone who is joining us today or in the future if they're viewing the recording on the library website. My name is Sharon, and I'm going to take you through a couple of the opening ideas before we get into a lot of the online tools. Looking for a job is a job. We are really practical about that. It takes a lot of organization, but what we're seeing with our clients is that more and more there are tools available to help you, as Debbie said, stay focused, stay organized, and get results. There's actually simple paper tools, which I'm going to open with this morning, and then Jan will be getting into some of the digital tools later. But the low-tech person gets to open with a couple of ideas on paper tools. Next slide, please. Here's a glance at some of the types of job search tools that are available to you. All of these are free. So this is not a situation where you have to pay fees or memberships to use them. But there are tools available to help keep you productive and organized, to organize how you apply, as Debbie had mentioned, assessment tools to understand not only your skills, but maybe to experiment a little bit in terms of a new area that you'd like to explore. A lot of our clients use their job hunt as a way to make an actual career shift. They might have been doing corporate work or office work for a while, and they're really interested into getting into a nonprofit or teaching. So those kinds of assessment tools can help you. Networking is huge, whether you do it personally, nose to nose, or you network online. It's really important to talk to people and tell them what you're looking for. There are job boards and community organizations that you can tap into. Jan is going to take us through a series of e-tools that are actually quite fun to work with. There are alerts through Google and Indeed. There's industry outlooks. And then last but not least, something we often forget is there's ways to check out employers. You can do employer reviews and employee reviews to understand, is this company where I belong? Is this the kind of culture I'm looking for? So remember, in your job search, it's a two-way street. They're looking for you, but you're looking to make sure that you're going to actually fit into this team. Next slide, please. Let's start with productivity. It's really important that you keep yourself organized with some kind of weekly action plan. You can do this on paper, you can do this online, however you're comfortable in working, but it's important that you set reasonable and measurable goals. Take a look at your week, Monday through Friday. Start to plot out what you're going to do at different time periods. If you're a morning person, you can front load the morning. If you're a late at night person, you can do a lot of online work at night. There's no like magic formula here, but it's important to stay organized. What we often find with our clients is that they think they're spending a lot of time on their job search, but when they do the weekly action plan, they find that they're not really spending as much time as they think. Now, I'm not suggesting that you do something 12 hours a day. That's madness. Sometimes we have people come in saying that they applied for jobs for 10 hours. That is not a focused search at all. But we do want you to start to take a look at what you're doing day by day in terms of gathering information, networking, perhaps setting up that first interview, and then taking care of yourself as well, exercising and taking breaks to make sure that your headspace is good. Next slide, please. Here's some quick examples of what these daily or weekly goals could look like. If you're in the preparation stage, meaning you're not exactly out there yet interviewing, but you're trying to prepare for your story, on the left here, you see some goals. You could identify the position you're after. You could identify 10 companies that you'd like to explore. Perhaps you might want to start to prepare your elevator speech, which is like your 30-second, who am I, what am I good at, what am I looking for speech. It's a great way to start to look at how am I going to tell my story. That's the prep side. On the right side, you see the active job search stage. Now you're in the thick of it. You're really in there. You're setting up alerts on Indeed for the kind of job you're looking for. You're committing to networking with a certain number of people each week. You're really out there. You're going to hear the word networking a lot because most jobs come to you through networking. You'll hear of a job that may not even be posted. And when you hear about it, you want to dive into it right away in terms of checking out the job and seeing if you can get connected with the right decision makers. So again, make these very specific goals. So at the end of the week, you can look back and feel good about what you've accomplished. Next slide, please. Here, the application stage is really important in terms of a way to gather all of your information. Now, I understand that most jobs you're applying online, but at the PRC, what we recommend is that you possibly do one paper version of this. You get an application and you gather everything you need in terms of your work history, your education, military record if you have one, volunteer record if you have one. Put it all together in a document so that as you meet people, as you apply for jobs, this becomes your source document for all of that information. The last bullet you see there is references. Really important to think through who should be your references in terms of professional, like your job history, people that you have worked with, colleagues that can attest to your skills, as well as personal references, people that can attest to your character. One mistake we see happen a lot with references is people have great lists of references. They've forgotten to tell the people or ask permission of the people to be their references. I can't tell you how many times this has happened to me where I get a phone call from someone asking for a reference about a colleague. I'm happy to do so. I'm unprepared. I did not know he or she was actually applying for this job. If I had known, I would have been a little more ready with my reference story. So references are important. It's as important to make sure they know that they're on your list. Next slide.
Can I just throw one thing in?
Sure.
Just quickly, because some people might say, why do I have to have a paper application? All applications, and they're true, 99% are online anymore. Once you fill this out, as Sharon intimated, it's done. And what's on an application is different than what's on your resume. Your application, you have to put the address of the company. You have to put your former supervisor, possibly your former supervisor's phone number. A lot more detail than what's on a resume. And we've had people that have filled out the application online, gone to an interview, got there 15 minutes, 10 minutes early, and someone said, oh, terrific, I'm so glad you're here. Would you please now fill out another application? Doesn't happen often, but it can. And I had someone one time tell their coach that they completely blanked. They couldn't remember their prior supervisor's name and last name, and they certainly didn't have the phone number. So they pulled their cell phone out and they started looking everything up, and they were frazzled, left the phone on, it rang during the interview. So a lot of the things, in your job search are just preparing ahead of time. And by taking this paper application, filling it out one time, you never have to touch it again. And as you progress and get other jobs, you just add that to it. If it's a government type job that you're applying for, you may have to go back through your whole life, every single job that you ever held. Most jobs now, people want you to go back maybe 10 years, which is fine. The last 10 years have been fairly rocky. The last 15 years have been super rocky. You may have had 5 jobs in those last 10 years. And do you remember all of the addresses for all of those companies and the zip codes and the phone numbers? Another little tip for applications, if the company has gone out of business, and this happened a lot after the Great Recession in 08, 09, we had people even like in 2011 and 2012 that came in and said, I lost my job, the company moved overseas, or the company just went out of business, which could be happening now, unfortunately, as well. You still list that company, you still list the address. If you have a phone number, list that phone number. And people will often say, but they're no longer there. They can't check my reference. They can't check, not my reference, they can't check my employment status there. That's not for you to worry about as a job seeker. That's for the HR team to worry about. Well, what they're asking for on an employment application is just the facts, kind of like just the facts, ma'am, that's all we need. So list it, let HR worry about whether or not, and you can let them know, look, I lost my job because this company went out of business. You don't have to worry that they can't track that down now. You just have to fill it out once. So that's always my good plug, because people say, I don't need this. But I can tell you, if you go, especially holiday, if you want to do some retail work with the holidays coming up. You might go in for, and again, this is all going to change this year, but last year you'd go for a group interview. And we had people say that, there's 10 people lined up. It's going to be a group interview. They gave us all a paper application and said, fill this out. Some people didn't have a clue, got up and walked out because they didn't have the information. Other people have said, you know what, I used that paper application. I took it with me. I just transferred everything I had written down, and I was calm, cool, and collected when it came time for the interview. So that's my plug for an old-fashioned paper application. Great. And then I'll put myself on mute.
No, that's quite all right. And just one quick thing before we leave this slide. You see salary there. Since 2019 in the state of Illinois, prospective employers cannot ask for your salary history. So that's a good thing, especially if you're looking to make a jump, that you want to get into a field and you're looking for a significant increase in salary. However, it's good for you to write it down because that helps you track where you've been, increase or decrease, and what kind of salary you're looking for in the next position. So the salary is not shareable, but it's good for you to know. Next slide, please. In terms of kind of staying with this application process, it's really important that you keep track of who you're applying to. Here's an example of a log where you can note the company website, the position, the login ID that you use for their portal, etc. It gives you a way of understanding how many applications are in play and when you should be following up, in terms of following up after the interview or understanding the results. We have one job coach, Lori, and her job client, instead of doing a log, she actually has made copies of every job description where she's applied, and that allows her to put notes right on it so that she understands how many are in play. Again, keep yourself organized. Next slide, please. Let's move on to assessment. This is the area where you want to look at your skills and how they're lining up against the job requirements. There's a lot of this going on out there. There's highly talented people and there's interesting jobs, and somehow we're missing each other. So one of the things we really like to focus on is take a look at the job and make sure that you are indeed lining up with your skills so that it makes sense for you to apply. Is this the job for you? Can you actually fit into this role? And discerning that helps you tell your story in the cover letter, during the interview. It also makes it easier for the recruiter or the person hiring to understand exactly how you're fitting into the job. And let me show you how to do that in a paper and pencil way. Next slide, please. Take a look at this. It's a T formation, a column, two columns here. On the left, you see what the employer is looking for, the employer's skills and requirements. And you see a couple of bullets there about proficiency in Microsoft Office, strong organization and prioritization skills, how much experience they want, etc. Now, where did I get that from? I picked that up from the job description itself. Took the job description and just started to pull out the skills and requirements for the job. Now let's move over to the right-hand side, the second column. That's you. That's your skills and experiences. How do they match up to what the employer is looking for? So let's take a look at the first one. First bullet is they're looking for proficiency in Microsoft Office. It's kind of a general statement, okay, what do you have to offer? Well, you know how to create PowerPoint presentations. You know how to document marketing materials in Word. You know how to compute data in Excel. You're starting to give specifics to the story in terms of how you match their needs. Some people might look at this and say, yeah, I'm proficient in Microsoft Office, and not give any detail. You're going to give detail. You're going to be very specific in terms of how you match their requirement with specific skills. And you're going to do the same thing along the line. For the second one, they're looking for organization and prioritization skills. You're going to tell them how you managed a team of 3 interns. All deadlines were met and within budget. So if you do the exercise on the right, you're telling a very specific story. And now you've got your ammunition for the interview. When they call or they set up a Zoom interview, you can have this right in front of you as kind of what I call a cheat sheet that prompts you to tell the little story against each one of the skills. Now, you may be doing this in a way where you start to realize this isn't a good match at all. What they need and what I have are not a good match. That's okay. Skip that one. Don't apply for it. You're looking for that really tight congruence between what they need and what you have. Next slide, please. This is an example. This is the same thing we were looking at. Oh, I'm sorry. If you could just go back one, Debbie,
Yeah.
just real quick. This is an example where the person's actually circled the keywords. And a little bit later, Jan is going to talk about an online tool that can help you actually do what I've been talking about online, where you can actually do sort of a little word cloud to understand how this works. So again, if you're a paper person, do it this way. If you'd rather go online, Jan will take you there. Next slide, please. Debbie already mentioned this, the skills assessment through KX. And that, again, is something that is great to explore. One thing to think about is that you may be looking to shift. You may be looking to make a change. And this kind of assessment is also a way to explore that. If I decide I want to go into payroll, there's a payroll test I can take to see if I had any aptitude whatsoever to pursue this. What we're trying to do is keep you focused for results so that you're not scattered, you're focused into the areas you want to explore. Next slide, please. And I'm going to turn things over to my good friend Jan here, who's going to take us through some really interesting tools.
Thank you, Sharon. So let's talk about LinkedIn. And companies use this to look for candidates. It's the #1 work-based social networking site. Started in 2005. Who uses it? Well, 77% of recruiters use it. 92% of Fortune 500 companies are looking at it daily, and a large contingent of Americans who are looking for jobs. This is electronic networking. And when Sharon talked about, and Debbie talked about how important networking is, this is another example of how you can do it electronically. So why do people use LinkedIn? Well, next slide. They are there to promote themselves and their achievements, their work history through their own individual online profile. They can electronically talk with other professionals, organizations, and recruiters. They're looking to find a job and to help recruiters find the job seeker. So again, as Sharon mentioned, we want to get in alignment with the people that have skills and expertise in education to align themselves with the jobs that are out there. So the networking, which we know now is at least 80% of the jobs are obtained through networking. This makes it a little easier. And something to keep in mind with things that you put on social media, such as LinkedIn or other, employers are watching, they're looking, and there are people who have actually lost their jobs based on what they have put on their social media. So very, very careful. Just know what you put on there is out there for all the world to see. The next way is job and networking clubs. And again, in 2008, 2009, networking clubs sprung up all over, especially, I can tell you, here in the western suburbs. Lisle had one that was very active. These are local chapters of organizations that they may be alumni, they may be people who have jobs that go to these clubs to help other people get jobs. So it's networking face-to-face, but there also is online networking, such as Meetup and Eventbrite.com. along with, as I mentioned, Facebook. The number of people on these has grown over the years. And so we're basically looking for people that want to connect with family, friends, religious organizations, your university, your libraries, any way, electronically, or as Sharon mentioned, face-to-face, to get out there and talk with people who might know of a job that you're interested in, who might know of someone who will be leaving a job for some reason that you might be interested in. So you always have to kind of keep yourself out there. Other opportunities of self-assessment and brainstorming. Sometimes it's important to just sit quietly with a cup of coffee or tea and say, you know, I have an opportunity now. I don't have a job. I don't necessarily want to go back to my old job. What job would I really like to do? What am I passionate about? What am I interested in? What can I do that can make a difference, such as a nonprofit versus corporate America? We can take a critical look at our resumes and say, are these accurate? Are they up to date? We can practice with mock interviews with a job coach or each other. And I always think you can ask family and friends and people you trust to say, could you look at my resume? Could you give me a few minutes and help me interview for an opportunity? One thing I think is important is the job you're seeking, you can go on Google and Google interview questions for a specific job. And you will find lots of interview questions there that you will be faced with in an actual face-to-face interview or Zoom interview. So it's incumbent upon you to do some research there and look for those interview questions that you might be able to find. In general, job boards are listed here, and I know this is being taped, so, or you could take a snapshot with a cell phone. These are job areas: Simply Hired, LinkedIn, Glassdoor, Indeed.com, CareerBuilder, Monster.com. These all have jobs in them. The state of Illinois, for instance, has recently had some money given for the purpose of creating jobs for people who have lost them. And Glassdoor is one of the things, when I was looking online, that they see a lot of their jobs listed on. So something to keep in mind. Maybe go in a different direction, environmental, the new Green Deal, these kinds of things that may not be what you've done before, but what you're really interested in. So I would use those opportunities. Just Google State of Illinois Employment Opportunities. They have categories of work from home or environmental, or this new one that no one heard of prior to March, called the contact tracer, where online you're able to help people who have had COVID try to figure out who else might have been exposed and begin the process of tamping this terrible virus down. But usajobs.gov, jobsearchusa.org, and of course LinkedIn is another big one. So here's one for those 40 and older adults that and seniors who are looking maybe to get back into the job market. And AARP has their own website, and you can see kind of a clever retired brains, but brains that still work. For seniors for hire, retiree workforce, corporate gray. I thought that was kind of a catchy one also. These list jobs that are really connected to people that are either retired or older that may not want to work physically demanding jobs, that might be happy working from home, working part-time. Maybe a part-time job will lend itself to a full-time job at some point in time. Corporate gray is interesting because it connects employers with the military. So I thought that was kind of an interesting website as well. Debbie talked about the PRC job board. I won't belabor that, but please know that those jobs are recent.
Oh, I think
they are good jobs, well-paid jobs, and they are taken off when those jobs are filled. So they are there. It's important resource for you to take a look at and see what jobs are available in this specific area.
Jan, can I just say also,
Sure.
many of the jobs that are on our job board, you probably will find on Indeed, or you'll find on a company's website. But if it's on a PRC job board through our program or through some of our cohorts, the collaborations and other nonprofits we work with, we all share a lot of job leads, and those are coming directly from the HR manager. So many of the jobs that are on the PRC job board, most of the time we know the person that gave that information to us. So networking 101, talk with your job coach and say, you know what, I just saw a job for County of DuPage, or I found a job through US Foods, or I found a job through that was listed through Crate and Barrel. Do you know someone? Can you help send my resume? So you go through the process, you send your resume, you apply online, you do everything you need to do. You let their job coach know. The coach can let me know, or Chris, our coordinator. And I am very happy to send an email to the HR manager and say, hey, you know what? Sharon applied for this job as the customer center coordinator, and would you just take another look at her resume? We're not going to, the PRC doesn't find jobs for people, but we will make sure we do everything to get you prepared. And networking, as we covered, is a big part of that. So if we can help get your resume in front of someone, maybe you want to work at Brookfield Zoo. You know, that's a great organization, and a lot of different jobs that you wouldn't even think about. We can send the email to the HR manager and just ask to take a second look. You know, you've received 300 resumes, 300 people have applied online. Where do you start? Well, guess what? I've got somebody you can take a look at, and hiring managers love that. They love to have a recommendation. So please use the job board and see what you can find there. I'm going to pass it to Beth for a second. Hello, there she is. She's unmuted.
Yep.
Just because the library has so much to offer too, cool tools, electronic or paper or books, or using the computer library. So I just wanted to toss it to Beth, and if you can talk a little bit about all the library that things that you can offer to the community also.
Absolutely. I'll only take a second, but I did want to let everybody know that the library is open again. We have slightly restricted hours. So we are open Monday through Thursday from 10 a.m. until 8 p.m., on Friday from 10 a.m. until 6 p.m., and on Saturday and Sunday from 2 to 6. The other thing is that if you go to our main website, gepl.org, in the navigation, you'll find two areas that you want to check on. The first one is the programs and events. You can go to our calendar and see what programs we have coming up. But the other one is under services, we have an entire web page devoted to job seekers. And on that web page, you will find links to unemployment assistance, local organizations. We have a link to the People's Resource Center, to their job assistance page. You'll find online resources, how to get a job, job seekers and students, that kind of thing. We have some resume help, some skill building help, job sites. We have the job sites from the U.S. Department of Labor. We have job sites with Goodwill. We have job sites for people who are the Campaign for Disability Employment. And then we have some local resources linked as well. And on this same page, this is the job seekers page, under services on our main web page, we have all of our upcoming programs that have any kind of a link to business or to job seekers. So you can find that on our website. Of course, if you come into the library, we do have computers, limited, and they're socially distanced from each other, and they do right now have a 30-minute time limit on it. That will continue to increase as, you know, time progresses, but those are available for public use. You can come on in, and then I'm going to put my email in the chat. I am the business liaison, and I'm the person who does the job seeker resources. So I can help you find books, I can help you find online resources, and I can walk you through our job seekers page if you have questions about that as well. So I'm going to do that, put my email over in the link, and then I'm going to go ahead and send it on back to Debbie and PRC.
Beth, I have a question. Does someone need to register in advance to use a computer?
No, the computers are simply first come, first serve. So if you come into the building, you have to wear a mask the entire time you're in the building. But as long as you come on in, a computer is open and empty. Go ahead and sit on down. If you don't have a library card, that's completely fine. Just come and ask us for a temporary pass to get on the computer. So you don't have to have a library card and you don't have to have an appointment.
Great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, next is, I'll just briefly talk about community centers because many, excuse me, many are closed. But when they open, or if they're open, there might be a job board where there'll be local jobs on with thumbtacks on there posted. So something just to keep in mind. Online tools, cultural fit, 3 minutes, 3 steps. This allows you to take a 3-minute personality test to see what opportunities are the best match for you. And it's something fun. It's a quiz that you take, it's free, and it kind of discovers what career might be right for you, similar to a personality test or an interest inventory. The next one is one that is one of my favorites, the ONET Online. And this looks like a busy slide, but I encourage you to go on it because it helps you to find occupations. It's easy access of information. It talks about matching your skills with the positions that are out there, the jobs that are coming up, ones that are new, ones that have a good chance of being future jobs or continuing to the future. The new opportunities, the qualifications and salaries and interests are kind of information for you to find out if it's something that you're interested in. Again, this might be something for a person looking to go down a whole new path with occupations, to just browse groups of similar occupations and do an advanced search, do crosswalks. There's something there for veterans. What I like about it is that you can play with it and it will say what skills you need for a job, what is your interest or the passion you might have for a job. And also important, the salaries that are in this area of the country, not just a general salary, but rather Northern Illinois. And it's worth looking at, and built into that is called My Next Move. It's part of this that is essentially, what do you want to do as far as new skills and new knowledge abilities in the career. And so next slide would be a little bit of an example of that.
Jan, I just want to say quick,
go ahead.
because we really don't have it anywhere on here because this is a screenshot. When you Google this or look for it, forget that little whatever it is, character, and really just think about it as onetonline.org. Because there's no spaces, dashes, or other characters, but it's ONET Online. And I just want to say too, it is created by the Department of Labor, so it's very safe, it's secure, it's free. And by going on ONET Online or the next one, which is, she went on those, give me a second. My Next Move, that's also part of ONET Online. You can just go to mynextmove.org. That also is part of Department of Labor. So they're very, very safe, and you're not going to get spammed with a lot of emails for online universities that want you to join. We're real big proponents of both of these tools. So I'll pass it back to you, Jan.
Well, they work, and you can, again, identify your interest and your skills and hone in on what careers would be best for you. What I particularly like is the fact that the salaries are listed. So when we do salary negotiation, which is not an easy thing to do, you have a pretty good idea of what the market looks like. And I also like the fact that it has bright outlook, which is what are the jobs in the future, or what are the more secure jobs? People that have lost their jobs to this COVID pandemic don't want to have to lose a job again. And so I think it's incumbent upon them to focus on what is the future, what's safe, what's secure, and they won't have to go through this difficult time of job searching right off the bat as soon as they get into a job.
And
here's an
share,
example. Oh, go ahead, Debbie.
no, you go.
I was just going to say, here's an example. The next slide is an example. It's an electrician, but it gives an idea, and I'm not sure how many of you out there are looking to be an electrician, but the point is it searches with keywords, and you know on the left, knowledge, engineering, technology, math, science,
Sorry.
and skills, basic skills, listening. There's some technology in that. Abilities, keep your arm or hand steady, which I thought was especially important as for an electrician. And then of course, putting together small parts and installation and so forth. So it's an example. So if you plug in something you're interested in, you really get a whole lot of information on what that occupation might be. And then the final one on my next move is personality, interest inventory, gives you ideas of what you might need in terms of technology, education. Again, look at Job Outlook. It says new job opportunities very likely in the future for this electrician. Salaries $56,000 up to $96,000. And then it has the ability to explore more, for instance, HVAC, heating, ventilation, and air conditioning, refrigeration, some telecommunications, AT&T, Comcast, some of the others. So it gives you some ideas, and you might not have thought of them before. So there are so many new jobs that are out there and are being created as we speak. There's much opportunity. The next slide is CareerOneStop. This is also U.S. Department of Labor, and it has something for every job seeker, resources for getting back to work, career changes, military, young adult, COVID-19 unemployment insurance information. So it's kind of a catch-all for basically resources. What they're saying is one-stop shopping for here relative to your career. And U.S. Department of Labor, again, as Debbie mentioned, is very safe. I would encourage it, and this is where our tax dollars are going, so we should benefit from that. The next one is Get myFuture. This is, again, U.S. Department of Labor for adults 16 to 24, so younger workers getting training, getting a job, finding a job search, writing a resume, finishing high school, getting work experience. And then the next is mySkills, myFuture, which is, again, American Job Center Network. We have Department of Labor again. This helps laid off workers explore new careers and use their skills and experience from their previous occupations. So what are you finding? Build a bridge to your new career, enter your current or your past job, find my career matches. And the beauty of technology is that there is so much information with this artificial intelligence and the melding or alignment of skills and interest with job descriptions, which we're going to talk about here for a moment, called Tag Crowd. Tag Crowd matches your skills to a job description electronically. So you create your own word cloud from any text to visualize keyword frequency and copy your resume or job description and paste the text into the box to hit visualize. So you're looking to connect the two, look for a fit between you and your job description. Again, something to play with, look at, learn from. These are relatively new. So many of these, you know, when we're looking at data mining and some of these things, they were not that apparent 5 years ago. And to be able to access these now, I think is really to your advantage.
And again, I just want to say all of these that we're going over and reviewing today, they're all free, and they're not sites that are going to then come back and try and sell you something. They're safe.
The next one is simply an example of create your own word cloud from any text or visualize word frequency. And of course, the job description hopefully will be a close match to that. And the next one is JobScan. This is I find this interesting too. Again, it's in the data mining category. Analyze how well your resume is tailored to a particular job. And even though the job description doesn't really change, you can change your resume to align it with that. So you paste it in or upload it and paste the text of the job posting you're interested in and receive a match score. What you want to try to do is get 80%. So as you can see here, you have boxes to paste, and then your resume is on the left and your job description that the company is putting on the right. And this one is a 78% match, which is great. So you have an advantage over those who aren't familiar with these tools or are not using them. And it's jobscan.com, and it works. An instant analysis. Additional tools, in addition to these, other websites then can be helpful. ResumeWorded.com, SkillSyncer.com, VMock.com, Resume Worded, and you can see them on the bottom so you can see what their logos are. So these are additional tools. Artificial intelligence is fascinating. Google is fascinating, and they can analyze job descriptions and look to see how close your resume is to that and work with that. Big stuff. And mobile versions are available. I won't spend a lot of time on that because you can simply download them on your smartphones. One other thing I wanted to say before I forget, and that is all of those websites that we talked about previously, we are encouraging you to go to the website of the job's employer. In other words, if you see something on Indeed.com, go to the employer, if it's a hospital or an organization, US Foods, whatever, and look for jobs on there. So use that sometimes to screen jobs, find your job, and then go to the website of the company. I think that will give you quicker, more accurate information. And Sharon's going to take it from here.
Thanks, Jan.
Okay.
Lots of stuff going on there. I just want to do a few final thoughts here in terms of additional tools, and one of them is alerts. When you're in the thick of it, for example, let's say you decide that you want to work in emergency management, like a FEMA type job. You could set up a Google alert for yourself that uses keywords like disaster preparedness, and then you will receive information about late breaking news, stories, things that you might want to keep aware of, because the more prepared you are, the more knowledgeable you are about the field you're pursuing, the better you will do in any conversation, whether it's a networking conversation or an actual interview. So Google Alerts is good from a topical standpoint. In terms of job alerts, as Jan mentioned, Indeed is very good. Once you sign up for Indeed, you can set up alerts so that let them do a little bit of the searching for you in terms of jobs that are just breaking. When you find a job that you're interested in, as Jan said, go to that company website and begin the application process. It's much more direct, and hopefully that you'll be able to break through. Next slide, please.
Interrupt very, very quickly if you don't mind. Debbie, I can see what you're writing in the chats, but only panelists can see what you're writing in the chats. You have to change your chat default to make sure our attendees can see what you're writing as well.
Okay. Will do.
In terms of, we've talked a lot about government programs in terms of online tools, and the Bureau of Labor Statistics is a good general source for industry outlook. It's really important to know what's going on, because industries today look much different than they did a couple of years ago. My son works for the airlines. That industry is completely different today than it was even 18 months ago. So BLS.gov is a good way to take a look at occupational outlooks and just to understand a little bit more what's going on in the labor market. Next slide, please.
Hold on one second. I was changing my chat.
Okay. Employer reviews. This is something, again, when you're shopping as well as them, and you may want to just make sure that you know as much as possible about a specific employer, their history, and their culture. You can go directly to their website and learn quite a bit about who they are, where they're going, kind of what their strategy is in general. You can also consult regional or state publications. Local Chamber of Commerce directories are available, or directories by state. And then you can also take it to a national level. If you were looking, let's say, at a large accounting firm, you might want to take a look at how they're being discussed at the national level. The reason we're pointing you in this direction is because it's important for you to find the fit where you belong, a place where you're comfortable, and go ahead and do your homework on them. It's also information you can use in conversation during your interview. That if it's obvious that you've done some homework about them and you're interested, that is really going to stick in the interviewer's mind. It's like, this person really cared. This person took a deeper look at us, and that's important. Next slide, please. And last but not least, our employee reviews, where you can take a look at what other people have said about the employer, about their culture, their compensation, their benefits, job satisfaction. It's not Yelp, it's not like that, like a complaint thing, but it's really to get an assessment of what employees who have frontline experience are saying about the company. Next slide, please. And here's an example of a couple of sites that you can take a look at. Probably the #1 site here is Glassdoor, where you can take a look at their employee reviews. But Indeed.com, Vault.com, CareerBliss.com, Kununu.com, and the last one, which is one of my favorites because it's a great name, FairyGodBoss.com is a site that is really focused on women, to understand how the culture of that organization is open to women, is open to promotion, and you can get an assessment from employees about how they feel about that. We really encourage you to, again, take what we call a 360 look at the organization as well as what employees are saying about it. Next slide, please, which I think is really our final thought. We have given you a lot of information. We don't expect you to absorb every single one, and you will find your own comfort level with these tools. So that what we'd like you to do is consider them, experiment, use some of them to have a more focused search so that hopefully you can come to a hiring decision much more quickly. And we really thank you for attending this morning's workshop.
Yes, thank you very much, and good luck in your job search.
You know, I'm going to, there's one chat here. Hold on one second. Jan is asking, one of our participants is asking if the copy is available. It's not available, but the Glen Ellen Library has it recorded today, so you can find it. But Jan had asked me, so bear with me, I'm going to go back a little bit, about the PRC website. Unless they're having problems with it today. Here, the login is 031620 and the password is 9EAAA9. I've been out of the office the last 2 days, so maybe there's something wrong with it at the moment if you tried and it's not working, but as of last week it was. So I encourage everybody, and I'm trying to get my chat back here. Oh, okay. So you can go here and go onto our PRC website there. And Beth just said the webinar is recorded, available for viewing on the Glen Ellen website under the Did You Miss It page, as well as all their social media. So unless there's any other questions, we made it just under an hour. My clock says 11. Well, it just switched to 11:01. So we were really, really close. But thank you for everybody that's listening today and watching and participating. And if you want to join the PRC Jobs Program, I'm going to go up to the very top again. Now that we've given you all of this information, just contact me. If, again, we can help you with applications, interview techniques, your strategy, with your resume. We can help you over the phone, email, Zoom, and you can call 630-682-5402, extension 333, and someone picks up those messages every single day, and they'll call you back and tell you about the next step to go through orientation, and then you get matched with a job coach, and you'll stay with that coach. That's your one-on-one job coach for as long as you need the help. And we have many people that are finding a job right now. It might be not their best job. It might not be the ideal job. Might be kind of a survival job right now, whether it's a job that you really need for the income, or you need to get out of the house because you're going stir crazy and you need to find something. And we can, in our database, we can keep you as ongoing. So you'll continue to get our monthly calendar. You'll continue to get jobs that we send out job leads every week. So you can be ongoing. Maybe you just tell your coach, I'm good for now, but I know this isn't my forever job. So I may circle back in 6 months or a year, and that's okay. We have people that have come back, as Jan's nodding her head.
Yeah.
She's had clients that have come back after a year or two and say, I'm ready for something different. And we're there. We're not going anywhere. So we'll be happy to help you. So thank you again, Beth, for allowing us to do this today. I appreciate it. I hope everybody found some interesting little nuggets. There were a lot of nuggets. There's a lot of info, but at least it'll give you something to do while you're at home. So,
and it was a lot of really concrete information. So I want to thank you all very much for being here. Again, you can either go directly to the PRC website, give Debbie a call or an email, or you could go to the gepl.org website under services and the job seeker page, and PRC is linked on that page as well. So thanks everyone very, very much for coming. Again, PRC, Sharon, Jan, and Debbie, thank you all very, very much. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Beth. I got one more chat here. Let me just make sure that I'm not missing someone here. The chat pops up and then it goes away. Where is it? Come on.
So far, it's thank yous.
Oh, it's thank yous?
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You know what? Thank yous are always good. That means, if you
right.
leave after 1 hour and you got one or two things that's going to help in your job search, that's great. We're happy.
Absolutely.
We'll take
Everyone
those
have a good day.
wins. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.